Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is the 10th day of the Ultimate Weight Loss Bundle experience, where each day I have been featuring anywhere from 3 to 5 contributors of the bundle. So you get to know them a little bit and what they have offered to the bundle. And today, my guest is Justina Froese, and she wrote an amazing ebook that is just, it sells for almost the price of the bundle, which, by the way, is only available for about 12 more hours because at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, it's not going to be available ever again. And it's $49 for over $4,700 worth of content. There are 112 distinct items in the bundle: ebooks, courses, programs, videos, live events, many that sell for not only the price of the bundle, but 2, 3, 4, even 5 times as much. And we have some of your very favorite plant-based doctors as contributors, plant-based chefs, influencers, athletes, and only one binge eating expert. And she's not only a binge eating expert, but she suffered from this condition for over 15 years. And she's the only person I know that actually was trained and authorized or sanctioned, whatever the word may be, by Dr. Doug Lisle to really help people with this. Her name is Justina Froese. Please welcome her to the show. It's so nice to have you here. And also, thank you so much for being in the bundle.
Hi, Chef AJ. Thank you for being on your show and being a contributor of the bundle.
Because
Sorry.
weight loss, there was a lot of people that when they attempt weight loss, as you and I know from doing programs that are not the way we teach people to eat, end up with binge eating disorder.
Exactly. That's how it is. That's, I guess, what so many people experience when they start to do some kind of diet. They restrict, count calories, and sooner or later they're in a binge eating cycle and they don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is without having dieting, that wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. Every binge eater I know dieted before.
Yeah, that's. I wonder, do we know what the percentages are of this?
Exactly, I don't know, but I guess there are many people that deal with binge eating, and because it's such a shameful thing for so many, they don't tell anybody about it. So I guess the number is even higher than we know.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is that a lot of times when people have this, they'll be referred to a registered dietitian who will tell them, oh, it's because they're orthorexic because they went on a vegan diet, and God forbid they're oil free or not eating junk food, because after all, we should be able to eat everything in moderation, right?
Exactly, that's the classic they hear, and then they're sent to psychotherapy, and then there's an ongoing searching for the cause of binge eating. But in the end, it's an easy solution or a quick fix with binge eating.
Yeah. And the answer is basically eat a potato. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
eat a potato.
oversimplified it, but
Yeah,
that's the thing. Without restriction, there'd be no binging.
exactly. And the thing is with restriction, I guess what many people don't understand, that restriction is not only a restriction of calories. So I have a lot of clients that still fear to eat enough starch. So they don't count calories, but they eat huge amounts of vegetables. And then they wonder why they still have episodes of overeating or binging, but it's usually because they don't have enough starch at one sitting.
Yeah, you can't be afraid of starch. And even though I recommend a lot of vegetables because of their low calorie density, I have always taught a starch-based program where I know in my life, at least 75%, if not 80% of my calories are coming from starch.
Yeah, that's how it is. And there I've noticed even some people, starch, I mean, starch is our main source of calories. But I also have clients that are so feared to eat fruit or so afraid to having fruit, and they maybe have one piece of fruit or two, and instead of maybe 3 or 4 pieces of fruit would do the job for them. I always say, hey, it's nature's candy fruit. So if you strive better on eating more fruit, then go for 3, 4 pieces. And before I go to junk food or to real candy, go to fruit. And that's what I mean with that restriction has different facades. It's not only restricting calories or only starch. Of course, starch is the main thing that most people restrict, but it can also be like fruit or even starch groups. For example, I have clients, they're so afraid of having rice or beans or even sweet potatoes. They're only stick to potatoes and to vegetables. And after 6 months or so, they end up in the binge cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a fun question from Gina. How did you end up connecting with Dr. Doug Lisle and getting certified by him?
I'm trained by him. It's not a specific certification, but I'm just trained by Dr. Lisle. I know him since 2016. That's when I connected to him. I saw him on Chef AJ show and read Pleasure Trap, and then I just thought, okay, I have to contact that guy. And since then we have a connection over the years, and the rest is history.
I was going to say the rest is history. Well, so here, listen to this post from a live viewer. And this is like an anorexic mindset, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not doing enough exercise to be able to eat a lot of starch, it feels safer to eat non-starchy vegetables. That sounds like someone that's anorexic to me.
Yeah, exactly. And that, this is actually like a different phase of restriction over exercising. I know when I dealt with binge eating 10 years ago, or in that phase of binging, I exercise sometimes 2-3 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah. Binge eating can be a full-time job.
Tell me about it. And you said you binged the day before your wedding. Oh, somebody saw you on the summit and they really liked your summit interview.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. I binged one day before my wedding. The reason for that was I, of course, wanted to look good in my wedding dress and lose weight. And so the weeks before I restricted, and the day before my wedding, we prepared everything and I was almost eating nothing. And when I came home in the evening, there was a big bowl of chocolate at home. I was living at that time at my parents' home. And that it was even chocolate I did not like. But it was the highest calorie dense food available. And so I ended up eating the whole package. And this was the beginning. And then I ended up eating everything else, chips, bread, and what was available at home. So I felt so horrible. I had a horrible sleep and woke up the next morning, should be my best morning ever. And I just felt ashamed and thought, oh my gosh, this is like I start a new chapter in my life with binge eating. I need to find a way to get rid of it.
Did your husband know about your condition?
Yes, actually, before we married, and before we came together, I told him about that. I was so ashamed, but at some point he needed to know, because you cannot hide from family members. I mean, you can hide to a certain degree, but sooner or later, boxes of candies are missing, or a whole loaf of bread is missing. So they ask. Yeah,
Wow.
he
The
knew
thing
about
about binge eating is it's done in secret. I mean, people know. Do you know anybody that actually binges in front of people?
No. Because, in society, people think it's because people don't have enough willpower. So people don't binge in front of other people, because then they seem like as if they have a lack of willpower. But that's actually not true. It's not the case. Binging, maybe some people heard me talk about that, or Dr. Lisle talking about, it's a famine defense mechanism. So when you restrict, your nervous system sends signals, hey, we need to get in those calories you depleted us from. So it's a clever mechanism by nature. Otherwise, we would starve to death if we would not binge. So the nervous system is trying to, protect you.
Well, you have a great YouTube channel where you explain this, but now you actually have a book that's part of the bundle where you explain.
Yeah, I have. It's a very in-depth binge eating guide. It's 120 pages, PDF pages. So you get a lot of information. I mean, I can show you a little bit of the ebook if you want.
Yeah, why not? That'd be great.
Yeah,
I have it pulled up on my desktop, and if
yeah.
people buy the bundle and I'd post your link below, they get it immediately delivered. If you don't see it, please check your spam. And if it's still not there, contact the help desk at uwlbundle@gmail.com.
Okay, then let's share. So this is the cover, table of contents. So here you can see I cover a lot of topics. I cover fat, I cover carbs. I share about something about my personal story. I share about the pleasure trap, ego trap, exercise, internal audience. I mean, there are a lot of content in here. You can see, I mean, I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So a lot of information here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. How to find the balance of inner peace with food and your weight. That's a great title.
Yeah, that's what most people desire that want to lose weight. And that's always what binge eaters want. They want to lose weight.
You betcha. So I have a
So
nice comment I saw about you from, where did it go?
almost done. Okay.
Oh, it's a good, I mean, it's a great value.
It's a lot. You have a lot of to read, and I have some book recommendations as well.
Listen to this. Somebody posted, somebody on this way of eating was diagnosed with fatty liver, and the doctor told her she was eating too much starch and to eat meat. Oh my God. Obviously, you don't know the work of PCRM and Dr. Hana Kalyova, where they actually reversed non-alcoholic fatty liver disease with a low food plant-based diet. Gina said Justina presented the pleasure trap on the summit that was so understandable and succinct and faster than Dr. Lisle. So
yeah, I'm trying to make it easy, digestible for people.
Yep, you do a good job with that. And Susanna said, in the summit, Justina spoke of never getting too hungry to prevent binging. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the thing is, when I work with my clients, and what I've noticed in myself, that after certain hours, for example, I always say the majority of people after 4 hours, let's say they have breakfast at 9 a.m. So usually 5 hours, most of the time 4 hours later, they need something to eat. And some people think, okay, they do a good job by maybe stretching the next meal for 6 hours in between. And the thing is, the longer the stretches in between the meals, the hungrier you get. And keep in mind that the nervous system is aware of that. And it is as if you put your nervous system into a small famine. So therefore, always make sure not to have long stretches in between the meals. And that's what I meant when I was talking about that.
Zen says, is there a way to listen to your book? I don't think you recorded audio for it yet.
No, I did not record it. No, not yet. Maybe in the future.
Okay, I understand. Would you say this is largely a female problem, or do you have male clients as well?
I actually have male clients, but I would say 80% of my clients are female, because of course there's a shame behind it, but there are many males that suffer from binging as well. But the thing is that women are more aware of their body weight, and therefore more women died, and therefore more women experience binge eating.
That makes sense. Is it, do the men that suffer from it, I mean, I'm just curious, because with women, there's the pressure to be thin. You explain that from an evolutionary perspective. So I'm curious, when a male gets it, what is their motivation?
Of course, it doesn't mean just because, like I talked in the summit, that it's the females body weight is an indicator of her attractiveness. So a female that is overweight looks pregnant, and therefore it's so important for females to have a slim physique, so that are, and it signals to the partner market, hey, I'm available. But because this is not the same partner value, or for males, doesn't mean that females don't look into males body weight, not at all. So because body weight is also an indicator for health, and of course females look at males body weight as well, not of course to the degree like males do in females. So therefore, when a male is overweight, he feels uncomfortable because, because of the partner market.
One of the things I hear, and it drives me crazy because I really don't believe it, is, oh, I can binge on carrots. I binge on potatoes. And I don't really see that. I think that's just that people are so used to chronically under eating that they don't even know what a normal portion of food is if you're following an oil-free, low-fat diet.
That's one part of it. And the other part is their conscientiousness. So people maybe heard about the Big Five personality test. And when you score high on conscientiousness, those people, I have so many clients that are highly conscientious, like Dr. Lai calls them the nutcases, hyperconscientious nutcases. Yeah.
HCNC.
Yeah. I could open a group online where all the nutcases could meet. And when they tell me, hey, I overeat, I ate so many potatoes, and then what I always say is, show me your plate and I show you your mistake. And what I see most of the time, when I see those pictures they sent me, I'm like, and that's all you ate? I eat double the amount you ate. So if you classify your binging or overeating on potatoes, then what is mine eating? So I eat twice the amount sometimes that my clients eat, but I would never classify it as overeating or binging. And that's the thing. I hear it all the time. Hey, Justina, I binge on sweet potatoes. I don't know. Sweet potatoes is also such a thing that people tell me all the time they binge on sweet potatoes. But they are so conscientious that they are aware as soon as their stomach is a little bit pooched out, they feel like they gain weight, and they overestimate the amount they ate. That's how it is. And some of my clients even put their meal into chronometer just to be aware of how much they ate. And most of the time it was between 1,800, 2,100 calories. And they were pretty surprised because they told me they're so bloated and feel like they're overeating. But in fact, they weren't.
Yeah. And the thing is, isn't it binging, foods that people binge on are generally high calorie, low water, low fiber, hyper palatable foods, whether they're vegan or not, but people aren't binging on whole natural food.
No, rare, very rare cases where people maybe, I don't know, 0.1% or so that maybe binge on those foods. But even if you binge on 3 pounds of potatoes, of course you feel uncomfortable, but this is not the amount like you would binge on junk food. You can binge on junk food in one sitting within 10 minutes on 5,000 calories. Show me one person that can binge on 5,000 calories on potatoes or carrots. I never met such a person and never heard about a person that can do that.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with people that treat food addiction in the non-vegan or plant-based world, but they all recommend, weighing and measuring your food on a plate, because what they say is people can suffer from, they actually say this, a volume addiction.
I heard about that. And the thing is, what most treatment centers or all those therapists, they're not aware of the pleasure trap and of the modern food dilemma, you know. They don't advocate for a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet. They're not aware of that. And that's what I always tell people. The pleasure trap is one of the most underestimated things when it comes to all diet related problems.
Absolutely. Okay. Does Justina plan to put out a hardcover book someday? Her presentation and story are so compelling, asks Susanna.
Um, I was not yet thinking about it. I don't know, maybe in the future.
Okay, terrific. All right, let's see. There's another question here from Mandy. Do women reach a certain age when they can stop caring about weight signaling their fertility, or will we always subconsciously worry about this?
I mean, the thing is, the older women get, the less interested they get in, yeah, into their body shape, their body weight. But again, um, this is still comes has a lot of to do with personality. That I have even clients in their 60s and 70s, and they are well aware of their weight and feel very uncomfortable when they're not at a healthy weight. So this will almost never, it will never change completely. You will, the older you get, you will get a little bit more relaxed, but it will still something or a topic in women.
But that's why I'm so interested in the male clients that you have, because it seems like their mate value isn't affected by their weight.
Exactly. But you know, I have a few clients and they live a terrific, wonderful life, have a wonderful wife, have kids, have a good job. But they told me, Justina, I cannot celebrate or I cannot be happy the way I would when I would not be overweight. And that's the thing, that the male clients that I have, they're also yeah, severely overweight. So this is a thing, you cannot enjoy life the same way when you're at a healthy weight. You're not at that athletic. You cannot spend the time the same with your grandchildren as something that is at a healthy weight. We don't talk about, I mean, super lean beans. We talk about just a normal healthy weight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard, I would think, regardless of a person's weight, because not everyone that binges is even overweight. It must be hard to enjoy
Yeah.
life when you're stuck in that shame, blame, guilt cycle.
And again, that's one part. And I have clients that are normal weight, they're healthy weight, that binge. But binging is, you feel physically so sick when you binge. I mean, every binge eater that is watching right now or binged in the past know how you feel after a binge. When I was binging, most of the time it was on the weekends because I had time. Um, I I could where I was could plan my binge. I always planned my binges before I was thinking about what to shop for, what things I want to eat, and told myself, hey, this is the last time. And sometimes I even skipped work on Monday because I felt so physically sick. I couldn't move, my stomach hurt, and that's, I mean, that's what males experience as well, this physical sickness after a binge.
Okay, thank you. There is a live viewer that's saying, I binge on healthy food and gained weight, like on sweet potatoes. I can eat 6 pounds of sweet potatoes. I can also eat lots of nuts, 8 cups of rice with 10 bananas. All of that is healthy food.
Yeah, but nuts is the thing, you know, when you have 3 bags of nuts at home or 2 pounds of nuts, nuts are so high in calorie density, everybody would gain weight on, yeah, overeating on nuts. And what I've noticed when people tell me I can yeah, eat so many sweet potatoes in one sitting, most of the time they don't have a reasonable plate. They don't know how to prepare satisfying meals and how to yeah, create a satisfying plate. They don't have the optimal ratio of vegetables and starch on their plate. And that's, you know, I don't know about the person that was asking that question. I don't know how you eat, what you eat for breakfast, what you eat for lunch. Maybe you're skipping breakfast, maybe you're skipping lunch, and of course you end up eating 6 pounds of sweet potatoes, or end up eating 10 bananas
But
with
my question
fries.
is, does this person wake up and eat 6 pounds of sweet potatoes, 10 bananas? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
I agree with you, because I have never met anyone who binges that doesn't have restriction. Because most people, even that I know that binge, they don't wake up and binge. They wake up and restrict because they binged the day before, and then it becomes this vicious cycle.
exactly. And sometimes it doesn't always is like skipping breakfast. Sometimes it is like not having enough breakfast and not having enough lunch. So this is also a thing. That's what I talked about at the beginning. Restriction has different facades. It's not only skipping meals, it's maybe under eating in the meal before.
Right. Exactly. So here's a question from Susanna. How do you define binging?
How do I define binging? Binging is always after some form, or follows always after some form of restriction.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm wondering, have you had a chance to look at the bundle? Did you notice any other books or programs or courses that caught your eye?
Yes, I mean, I'm not that type of recipe. I don't seek a lot of recipes because I eat very simple and plain foods. I don't have a lot of time to cook, but I know my attention got the ebook. I don't know his name, Robert Cheek or so, the
Mhm.
bodybuilder. Yeah, I'm a little bit interested right now in exercising. So that's one of the books.
That is great. Well, very cool. So some people overexercise too. Isn't that a form of kind of disordered eating, if you will?
Yes, that's also a form of restriction, because you burn a lot of calories, and what those people do, they do not compensate those burned calories with food. And this is actually also, I included a chapter on exercise. So the more you exercise, the more, or the chances increase that you binge. Or doesn't mean that if you exercise a lot, hey, feel free to do that if you like that. But I don't recommend it to do that. But be aware that if you exercise a lot, you need to compensate those calories. You need to eat more. The more you exercise, the more you need to eat. And I like, and this is also a book I recommend in my binge eating guide, the book Burn, um, by Dr. Herman Ponzer. And
He was
Chef
on the
AJ,
summit. He was on the
yeah, he
summit.
was. It was amazing, and you interviewed him as well, and I love his work. It's terrific, and every person, this is the number one book I recommend to my exercise monkeys who exercise a lot, that they need to read that book, or at least listen to the audiobook. It's amazing. It's not very long, but it's super helpful information. And this is actually what I've noticed myself, that my weight always stayed the same if I exercised or not. I exercise because for health, and I feel better if I do that, but I don't do any crazy exercise anymore. I had even periods, people did not know that I was not exercising at all for 6 months, sometimes a year, and nothing happened. The thing that happened is I was eating less because I was less hungry. That's what happened.
Got it. Okay. Susanna says, is intermittent fasting from 6 p.m. to noon the next day maybe too long if you tend towards binging?
Depends on the person. It depends on how much or how big your last meal was. If you had a big dinner, this is okay. Try it out. This is individual differences.
Great. Thank you. Okay. I saw something about purging. Here it is. Did you ever struggle with purging? And not everybody that binges does purge, right?
Yeah, that's true. Um, it was not a big deal for me, but I know that some people do that, of course.
Yeah. Oh, his is a funny comment from Janine, who's in the bundle, because we're talking about you being certified by Dr. Doug Lisle. And she says, I'm certified by Dr. Lisle as a nut. We all are, Janine.
We
You're in
all,
great
yeah.
company. You are all in
Not
good company.
community.
So the person that posted the question that she can, I'm guessing you're a she. I'm sorry, your YouTube name is a number and a name, so I don't know what to call you. I apologize. But the person is saying, I can't skip any meal. I can eat sweet potatoes or rice or bananas all day long. I force myself to eat at the next meal. I eat to break the cycle of binge restrict. Is this somebody that might be a good candidate for coaching with you?
Yes, she can contact me. She can write me the email or book a coaching. Sometimes one coaching or so is enough that I can see what's exactly going on.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
if whether or not you can help the person. Sarah says, what do you use for sauces, dressings, if not using nuts as a base? Well, I've got 5 books with like 400 recipes that can answer that questions, because I don't use nuts.
Yeah.
You can use anything. You can use salsa, you can hummus, beans, cauliflower. I mean, please check out my YouTube channel, because anything can be dressing. It doesn't have to be nuts. Yeah. But, one of the things is moderation versus abstinence. And you're okay with abstinence for something that's not healthy, right?
Exactly. This is also something I talked about at the summit, that of course we should stay away from foods like oil or too many overt fats, because this is something that weren't eating in nature hundreds and thousands of years ago.
Right. I want to tell you a story about somebody, and I didn't believe this at all until it actually happened. I thought she was just making up an excuse. But before I moved to the desert 3 years ago in LA, I used to do this program in my home every month. And we're 24 people. It was called the Ultimate Weight Loss Program. They'd come every 4 weeks for education and an exercise class or a yoga class and meals and sharing. And like Dr. Lisle would speak one week, Dr. Goldhammer through Zoom, but it was an in-person program. And so we would sometimes have other people make the meal with my recipes, just, like on scholarships, just so I could be freed up to be with the people. And so there was a person in the program the program was on Saturday night, and they called me Sunday, and she said, what did you put in the food? And I'm like, what do you mean? We gave you the recipe. She goes, well, I went home and I binged that night. And I'm thinking like, she's just making excuses, trying to blame. Well, this was the interesting thing. So this person was so sensitive to salt as far as being a trigger. And when I took out the trash after talking to her the next morning, I was throwing the cans. We used 8 cans of fire roasted tomatoes by Muir Glen. It was in the recipe. It was an enchilada. And I looked, and the person doing the shopping didn't get the ones that were salt free. She was able to detect that. Isn't that interesting? And for her, that was a trigger. And so I believed her.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's in our genes, how susceptible we are to those foods. Like with alcohol, some people can have a glass of wine without binging, without being addicted to alcohol, and some people can have a sprinkle of salt and they do fine. And that's we always need to do a set of experiments. If it's not working for you, change that. Just because it's working for somebody else doesn't mean this will work for you. And this is actually a good point, where when I work with my clients, it's always about finding, that bliss point of calorie density. Because with people that are eating a healthy diet, a whole food plant-based diet for many years, and they tell me that they overeat, we always look at the calorie density of their meals, because for some individuals, hey, there are some that do a great job on eating 300, 400 calories per pound, and they do great. They have amazing results. And others, their nervous system is not happy about that. And if this is something you've experienced, that you feel like you are a bottomless pit, you can eat and eat and eat, and you never feel really satisfied with your meals, maybe increasing the calorie density a little bit can help. And I'm glad Dr. Lisle mentioned it in his last couple of interviews, that our ancestors ate a calorie density between 600 and 700 calories. And the whole food plant-based diet, with those unprocessed foods, with no overt fats, they maybe eat a calorie density of 350 calories. And as I said, some people do great, some not. So do experiments and increase the calorie density. And just, just because something is higher in calorie density, like beans, or maybe half an avocado, doesn't mean that this is a bad food at all. It may just help you to overeat less.
Right? And people have to know themselves. And that's why experiments are good, because just because it works for one doesn't mean it works for another.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
many people that tell me, yeah, I ate exactly like that influencer or that person, and it's not working for me, so the program is not good, or whatever, but
That's
that's the
why I
thing.
hate it when people ask me what I eat in a day, because first of all, it's me and it's not you, and it's my preferences and it's not your preferences. And it's just, that's why I really am getting away from even working in that space at all, because and as you know, by the emails, I just send everybody to you now anyway. A lot easier. There's a question if you think there's a link between caffeine and binging.
What I've noticed is that some people use caffeine in the morning because
To not eat because
to
it
not eat, it suppresses appetite,
and then
and
they end up binging. Exactly.
exactly.
Mhm.
That's the correlation between caffeine and binging, because it suppresses the appetite. And what we know from the nervous system, if you don't eat enough, your famine defense mechanism kicks in, and you may end up overeating or binging.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, this has been great. And thank you so much for being in the summit and being in the bundle and all your work and your wonderful YouTube channel. I see that you had Chef Bravo on recently with a wonderful explanation of how to eat at restaurants. It's a very great channel. And hopefully you put it in the show notes. If not, we'll add it so that people can also follow you on YouTube.
Yes, thank you, Chef AJ. Thank you for being your guest. It was
Oh my
amazing as
God.
usual. I
So
love to
fun
talk to
having
you.
you on. And guys,
Yeah.
get the book and get it from Justina, because her book, hey, even if you don't know somebody, even if you don't personally binge, I know you know somebody does, and reading that book can really help that. Susanna says, oh my gosh, I just love Justina. She's so incredibly helpful. Come back on, the Wednesday course I have, the private group. She's in there. Come back, because people love you in
Yeah,
that as well. So I
I
know that
will.
because you're in Germany, we have to do it earlier, because obviously we can't wake you up in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
but we'll find a time. Thank you, Susanna, for saying that. All right. Well, thanks
I
so
will
much,
come.
Justina. And I hope to talk to you soon. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back in about 20 minutes when my guest is Lisle Maris of Raw Food Romance, without whom the bundle would never have been created, because I have no idea how to build a website. Take care, Justina. Bye-bye.
Bye bye, Chef AJ.